Progress.
All right, let's see
Sir,
what this
we'll
guy
be
did.
with you in just
Recording
a moment. One of my colleagues had to step away just a second.
Okay.
All right, just hang tight.
Hang tight.
Yes, ma'am.
Lips are sealed. That's right, Dorothy. As I'm talking, his attorney is waiting on his call. Oh yeah, he's calling his attorney right now. That's right. A good catch, KC. What do you guys think this guy did? You guys just saw him pop up on the screen. What kind of activity do you think he was up to? Stealing copper, hitting that Krizak pipe, abducting people. The possibilities are endless. And then okay, so that dude, the dude that came on that did some graping, he ended up getting denied. But there was another dude, the Pipa. That's right.
Do you all think you'll be taking lunch after him, or are you going to see him and the next guy, or?
We could take a lunch break when we get finished with him.
Okay. They
come
wanted to work
on
on the construction stuff, and I wanted to tell them when a good time would be.
Well, our lunch break is only going to be for probably about 20 minutes or so.
All right.
Okay,
All right.
I'll tell them that and see if they can.
Okay, we'll talk about it. Yeah, thank you.
Yes, skedaddle.
Recording in progress.
All right, all right.
Sir, can you see, hear, and understand me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Corey, thank you for the follow.
I do see a note that you do have a hearing impairment. Do you need any assistance?
No,
with
I
the
can hear
hearing
you.
today?
No, ma'am, I can hear you guys just fine.
All right, sir. Would you please state your name and DOC number for the record?
My name is Daniel Freeman. My DOC number is 318363.
Let me look him
All
up.
right, Mr. Freeman. My name is Mrs. Fields, and joined on camera with me today are Mr. James and Miss Lathan. We are the three-person panel that will be conducting your parole eligibility hearing. I believe you had a parole eligibility hearing in June of 24, and at that time there were two-member panel, but shortly after your hearing, there was a legislative change that requires us to operate in panels of three. So that's the reason you're seeing a three-person panel today. It doesn't change the way we operate. We still go through the same information we went through at that time, and we still have to make a unanimous decision in your parole eligibility. Do you have any questions about the way that we operate today?
No, ma'am.
Sir, throughout this hearing, you may notice that we're not always focusing.
He has bad charges.
We may be looking off to the left, the right, down. We've got multiple computer screens. We've got notes. We've got a lot of information on you. We know a tremendous amount about you. We know probably the way that we think you should answer the question based off the information that we have. So therefore, we're making notes and making sure that we provide you with the best possible parole eligibility hearing today. And all the information is given to help us make the best decision possible for you and the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Chucky.
Do you have any questions about that?
No, ma'am.
All right, sir. I'm going to start today by reading your resident record card.
They're going to talk about it.
Previously been stated to you, we cannot make any changes to this resident record card. This information is housed by the Kentucky Department of Corrections, so they're the only ones that would be able to make any changes to it. You would just need to take that up with your case manager there at the institution if you deem there is any discrepancies in the information that I have provided.
He's a
Okay,
SO.
sir?
S offense.
So I'm going to start. You are Daniel J. Freeman. Your DOC number is 318363. You are 38 years of age. You are housed there at Luther Luckett Correctional Complex, medium custody. Your parole eligibility is March of 25. You're being held on a 7-year sentence for sexual abuse, first degree, violent crime, sex crime. And sexual abuse, first degree, violent crime, sex crime.
Thank you,
You have served approximately 4 years, 6 months, and 23 days. And you have approximately 1 year, 4 months, and 2 days remaining. I do not see that you have any good time loss, and I do not see that you have any holds or detainers. Does that information sound correct to you, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, sir. So we're going to start off today by you telling me what you did to get these sexual abuse charges.
There it is. Cat's out the bag.
I forced myself on a 13-year-old female.
Damn.
I forced my hand on her vagina, and I also forced my penis on her buttocks.
Who was this victim?
It was my niece.
Damn.
What's her name?
Avery.
Okay. So, what was your relationship with her again?
She is my niece.
She was your niece, so was she your sister's child?
It was my wife's sister's child.
Your wife's sister's child.
Yes,
Damn.
ma'am.
Okay.
Yup. Straight up, Jamie T.
So, why did you do this?
I just took advantage of her. I wanted the relationship with her. I wanted sexual gratification from her, and she was there. And I talked to her, and she would just be nice to me. I manipulated her into doing the things that I wanted to do.
So it was this child because she was accessible.
Yes, she was.
Easy pickings.
She was always around.
Was there something special about Avery?
She just listened to me and it made me feel like I was very important.
Okay, she was
fucking
13,
idiot.
12 or 13?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were how old at the time?
33, 32, 33.
So what does a 33-year-old see in a 13-year-old? Other than being a child, an innocent child.
Mm-hmm.
She was just made me feel like I was something special.
Something special.
Okay.
And would listen to me if I was down and out and didn't have nobody to talk to. I would talk to her about things.
She didn't have a choice to listen to you, dummy.
So
What do you guys, man? Me is a hard pass.
It
Wood
had
chipper.
been any other child? Was it just, if it wasn't Avery and there was another child, would it have been the same situation?
No, I don't know. I don't believe so. I think
Liar.
it's just the way she was there. And she reminded me so much of an ex-girlfriend of mine before I got married to her aunt. And it just something about her just triggered something that I felt.
Okay.
Wood chipper. Feet
Do you
first.
believe Avery trusted you as being an adult figure in her life?
I do.
Okay. And you broke that trust?
Yes, ma'am. I definitely did break that trust.
How had you gotten to this point in this relationship with her that it turned sexual? Had you been, I guess for lack of better words, grooming her or preparing her, or?
I would buy her things that, because her, she always didn't get things with her. I would buy her things, take her to the store if she wanted to go. I would wrestle around with her and tickle her and things just to get her used to me touching her.
How long had you planned this? Or was there any specific amount of time that you felt like it was to the point to where for you to make your move?
No, there wasn't really a specific amount of time, I believe. It was just over months, I guess. The more she was around, the more I talked to her, got comfortable with it. I felt comfortable around her. And when I did that.
Okay. So, you didn't live in the same household with Avery.
She lived 2 doors down from where I lived at, yes.
Okay, she lived 2 doors down. So there was pretty easy accessibility to her.
Yes, ma'am.
And she would come to the residence that you lived at fairly often?
Yes.
This isn't playing on YouTube.
How often would you say?
Every day, at least. This is at least every day.
And part of your way of grooming her or getting her accustomed, you would send her notes or messages?
Yes, I would send her notes, messages, tell her that I love her, that if she needed anything, I'd always be there for her.
Okay. And you would ask her to take pictures of herself in the shower or out of the shower and send them to you?
Yes.
I understand,
Okay.
Renee. Good morning, Vicky. Marie.
Did you lust after children?
No. Just Avery.
Just
Liar.
Avery. Okay.
Yes.
All right. You said that you forced yourself on her. How and where did that occur?
It occurred in the living room of my house. And we sat there and I just took my hand and forced her clothes off and stuck my hand in between her legs and rubbed it and put her on her side, forced her on her side, and then rubbed my penis on her buttocks to try to attempt to get an erection.
Okay. And you could not get an erection?
No, ma'am.
If you could have got an erection, would you sexually wanted to have sexual intercourse with her?
I believe so.
Okay. You believe so?
Yes,
Or
ma'am.
do you know so?
It probably would happen, yes.
Okay. How do you think Avery would have reacted during that course if it had come to that point? Do you think she would have allowed it to happen?
No, I don't believe so.
Good question.
Okay. So you guys were home alone during this? How many times did this occur?
Once.
Once?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. But you're charged with 2 counts of sexual abuse, first degree.
Good
Why are
question.
you charged with 2 counts?
Liar, liar,
I believe
liar.
they had it, both of them the same. Like for me, rubbing on her
Okay.
and for me,
And
my penis on.
okay. How was your relationship with Avery after this occurred?
Not well. It de-escalated after that.
Mm-hmm. And those notes that you sent her, it was kind of childhood grade school. Circle yes or no if you want to have sex with me. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
She didn't respond to those, did she?
No.
Okay. So, how did all this come to light? How did you get caught?
She told her mom, and then her mom went to the police.
Good job.
Okay. So what have you learned from this encounter and this crime that you have been charged with?
I've learned that I've ruined somebody else's life for forever, and I regret it every day. But then I also moved on. I know I can be a better person
No, you
than I
can't.
was then. It's a horrible thing that I did to her.
How do you think that Avery is doing today? Do you think she is living with this and has trauma from this occurrence?
Absolutely.
I absolutely agree that she does.
Sir, were you married at this time?
I was.
Was your wife not making you feel special and
Not
listening
at
to you in a way that a wife should?
Not at that time, no.
He can't
What
even
was
get it
going on
up.
with your relationship?
We were having our ups and downs. We'd have our arguments. She would go to work, and then when she come home, I go to work. So we never really spent a lot of time together.
Okay.
Good morning.
So instead of turning to your wife and talking to her, you turn to a 13-year-old.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you still married?
Yes, we're still married.
How did you work through this situation? Is your wife aware of everything that occurred? I'm sure she is because you're in prison.
Yes, ma'am. She's it took us a long time to work through it, but over the last few years, we've worked through it and got together, um, just talking it out, and we're just trying to go on day by day.
Day
Okay.
by day. Thank you for the
So
follow,
were you
Brooke.
working at this time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That's
Were
what
you
I'm saying.
using drugs?
Not at that time, no.
Not at the time that you had these sexual encounters with Avery.
No.
Had you used in the past?
Yes.
Okay. How often did you use and what was your drug of choice?
My drug of choice was marijuana, and I used it very so often.
Liar.
Okay.
He's a SO, a S offense. Barrios.
What type of triggers were you experiencing that forced you to resort to pursuing a 13-year-old?
Probably loneliness. Loneliness was the main trigger. I didn't want to feel like I was being alone.
Okay. Did you not have much adult interactions?
Other than work, no.
Okay. So you would work and come home and feel lonely.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you suffering from mental health issues?
Not that I know of, no.
Okay. Do you know that you suffer from any mental health issues currently? Any anxiety, bipolar, or depression, or anything like that?
I get a little anxious every now and then, but not a whole lot.
Okay. So Avery told her mother about this occurrence.
Yes, ma'am.
Did the mother approach you?
No, she did not approach me. She just went to the cops.
She just went to the cops.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then the cops came, interviewed you, and you admitted pretty much off the initial interview that what was going on?
They didn't even come to interview me. They set out a warrant and brought me to jail, and that's when I told them then.
Okay. All right. So you have completed the sex offender. You realize that you will be a sex offender on the sex offender registry for lifetime.
Yes, ma'am. I understand that.
And with that comes a lot of hurdles and a lot of restrictions.
Yes, ma'am.
What did you learn from the sex offender program that you will adapt to society?
To what my triggers would be, and the appropriate way to go about dealing with those, like having a good support system, and among other things, and knowing that I can contact my probation officer and teachers to help me cope with and deal with some of these things if I have questions or having a hard time.
Okay. I mean, looking at your criminal history, it doesn't look like in past you've had much. You had a receiving stolen property, which was a misdemeanor charge. What surrounded that charge?
Me and a bunch of my friends were at a Walmart and took a bunch of stuff, and I got caught with it all.
Okay.
Absolutely, Jessica.
So at that time you had, I would say, a social network. What changed to make that you didn't associate with those friends any longer, and you came to the loneliness stage in your life?
Those friends, I've realized that they wouldn't help me out. They were going to bring me down.
Okay.
So I just got away from them. It's better to cut ties than have somebody that's going to keep bringing you down. So I decided I wanted to do better and not stay in trouble. So I just told them I just stopped hanging out with them.
I understand. I'm glad you came to that realization, but it does, concern me that you had the loneliness feelings and resorted to a 13-year-old to satisfy your loneliness when you had a wife that you could have turned to, even though you were having some problems. I would think you could have somehow maybe worked through that.
How are you going to work through erectile
So let's talk
dysfunction?
about what type of programming you've been doing. When you met the board last, I think that they asked
me to take Thinking for Good.
yes, and you took care of that in 24.
Yes, ma'am. I completed that program.
You did. What did you learn from that?
Stop depending on other people a lot and just have how my thought process would go to stop thinking negatively and start thinking positively and don't divert back to the old person that I was.
Okay. And who was that old person?
Old person was a grumpy, lonely shell of a man. I wouldn't even say I was a man at that point. I was just down, awful person inside.
Who is the person today?
Sorry to hear that. That's awful.
More upbeat, try to look at a positive side of life. I still have issues, but I'm still trying to work through those, just taking it day by day and not try to let negativity around me bring me down.
What issues are you referring to?
What's that?
What issues are you referring to? You said you still have issues today. What are those issues?
Oh, it's trying to learn better how to communicate with others. I still have issues doing that, still expressing how I feel, but I'm working those things out, try to understand how it is better and easier to talk to people than to bottle things up.
Okay. So if you were granted the privilege of parole, how would you deal with those issues?
Find me a counselor or a really good friend I could trust and talk to him about it. But I have family too, my father, I have people I can talk to if I have problems and issues.
Mm-hmm. So where would you live and what would you do if you were granted the privilege of parole?
I live with my father, and then I have a job. My uncle said he'll give me a job. I have a job waiting for me when I get out, and I go back to work and then be a member of society.
What type of job would it be?
Brick masonry work.
Okay. You said you'd go live with your father. Why not go live with your wife?
Good question.
The way their house is set up, she lives with my father-in-law, her mom and dad, and they have weapons in the house, so I wouldn't be allowed to go there.
Okay. All right. Have you had any contact with your victim?
No, ma'am. No contact at all.
Okay. Do you desire to have any contact with her?
No, ma'am.
Do you know where she is now?
I do not.
Okay. So your support system would be your family.
Yes, ma'am.
I assume your wife.
Yes, we still talk on it. We talk on a daily basis.
You would seek out a counselor.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Do you think that you need any assistance with drugs and alcohol abuse?
No, ma'am.
In a long time, you used marijuana at one time.
It's been a long time, and I've been away from it for so long and don't even desire any of that anymore. I don't even desire having tobacco.
You mentioned the job. You know that you cannot be, your restrictions are being anywhere around children, which would mean daycares, schools.
Yes, ma'am. He's aware of that.
Okay, so that means that he would work with your restrictions as far as if you had a job assignment related to any of those that you could not do it.
Yes, ma'am. He's aware of those things too.
All right, sir. All right. I believe that concludes the questions that I have. I'm going to refer to my colleagues to see if they have questions for you, sir. I appreciate you answering all of my questions. Miss Lathan?
Good afternoon, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
So my colleague has asked you lots of questions and you've been very cooperative the answers and given the answers. I just need some clarifications on a couple of things.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that you talked about was these triggers that you had, and that the child reminded you of an ex-girlfriend.
Yes, ma'am.
That was the attraction that you had. In the future, if you see someone that reminds you of that ex-girlfriend, and more specifically a child, how are you going to deal
I got to
with
start
that
it over
situation?
again. Like and subscribe. I'll be right back in 2 seconds.
Situation completely.
The other thing that was brought up is that you were dealing with these feelings of loneliness, and Mrs. Fields asked you about your adult relationships and how to deal with the loneliness. Who do you feel like is responsible for making sure that your feelings of loneliness are met? Like those, whatever it is that you feel like you're lacking. Who's responsible for that?
I am responsible for that.
Absolutely.
Instead of, I need to be more open. That's like how communication is key, but I'm the only one, I'm 100% responsible for it.
You absolutely are, sir. So I just, there are a lot of people who, we're in a society, and some of us are just like naturally outgoing, and others of us are, kind of laid back, a little shy, reserved, a little socially awkward. We have everything. That's what makes up this whole world. And so you have an obligation of, when you're feeling lonely, like you said,
yes, ma'am,
those type of things, to make sure that whatever need it is that you're having met.
Yes, ma'am.
And you absolutely have taken responsibility for using this child for that type of thing that you should have been getting within yourself. However, it is very concerning that once you saw this in this child, you didn't seek help for it.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
That was very wrong for me to do.
Yes, sir. It was.
I understand that.
Okay. So you're a man. You're 38 years old. And if you get out and you actually seek treatment and you use all the skills that you've learned in every program that you've had with the Department of Corrections, at some point in time, you're going to feel healthy enough, to have a relationship. And you said you have a wife, so I hope that relationship is healthy. However, how are you going to deal with people who may bring children around you?
Good question.
I think I can have the support system around me enough to be comfortable around people who has kids. Or if I'm not, then I'll seek help in furthering my education on that. But I have to be deep down, if I'm responsible still 100%, I have to look forward to probably remove myself if I have an issue.
Well, if you're granted parole, part of your sex offender conditions of supervision will include that you not be around children.
Yeah, I would have to remove myself from that situation.
So are there children where you intend to go?
No, there's not.
I hope not.
All right, Mr. Freeman. I don't have any other questions for you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ms. Lathan. Mr. James?
I don't have any questions for Mr. Freeman.
Thank you, sir. All right, Mr. Freeman, this is your opportunity to tell us anything that we may not have covered during your interview before we go off camera and talk about your case.
I don't really have anything else to go out. I just appreciate you guys taking your time out and here. And that's about it.
Good job.
All right, sir. If you'll just sit tight there, we're going to go off camera and we'll be back with you shortly, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.
All right, guys. So right now they're gonna deliberate. They're gonna figure out if they're gonna find them suitable to parole or not. What do you guys think? Me personally, my personal feelings on that is I would get a wood chipper and put him in legs first, and that'll solve the whole issue. The taxpayers don't have to pay for his housing. For me personally, I don't think there's any redemption. There's no redeeming qualities when you do those type of offenses. But those are just my personal feelings. I'm not sure how you guys feel. Do you guys feel like he should be paroled, given a second chance? I mean, you know what? I have a daughter. I got a 6-year-old daughter, and in no way am I gonna let a grown man play with my daughter and tickle her or even be alone, you know, in that fashion. No way. That's something that me and my wife always talk about, that my daughter, if she's not with my wife, she's going to be with me at all times. You know, all that leaving my kid with somebody else, it's not going to happen, just because you don't know what anybody's, you know, what their intentions are. What kind of thoughts they're having. You just don't know anybody just by looking at them and taking them at face value. You know, people have thoughts and they're sneaky and they do things like that. And I'm just not willing to you know, risk you know, anything happening. So those are just you know, my personal feelings. The charges are, he's a SO S offense, if that makes any sense. And for anybody that's just tuning in right now, this is a live board of parole hearing from a state in the United States. I will go ahead and ask you guys, if you guys go ahead and subscribe. It's free 99, doesn't cost you anything. Sometimes these streams I have to abruptly pull the plug on them, just because I'll get restricted, and I'm not trying to get my account. So, you know, the easiest way to keep track of the hearings, you know, whenever I come back, normally I'll shut it down for a second or two. I'll come right back. Hey, Thumper, gracias, highly appreciate that corazón. Yeah, let me see. Carrie, yep, not even family. Hey, 100%, because you don't know. You don't know in those type of you know, when you assault somebody in that way, you're doing damage, or damage is being done to them that you can't undo. You know, I don't care what kind of therapy or talking that you do. They just, you know, I think that's the worst thing you could do to somebody. Let me see here. Hey, thank you. A simple thank you for that follow. My life speechy. He doesn't sound like he's been reflecting on his actions. Yeah, I know originally when they started the hearing, he was talking about that he had came in front of the board before, and they've denied him. But 7 years for that type of crime, that's preposterous. That's ridiculous. He didn't get parole, right? So Jamie T. So right now we're waiting. They're deliberating right now. So the way they do it in this state is they turn off the cameras. They take us off the Zoom meeting. They talk about it. Once they decide what they're gonna do, they'll go ahead and put us back in. So that's why you see that logo on the back where it says Zoom Workplace. So as soon as they come back on, the screen will change and we'll go ahead and be back in the conversation here. What state? Carrie, at the current time, I'm not sharing what state it is right now, because I've had some issues last week where some people were being scandalous. So I'll share it towards the end of the stream. It is going to be a long day. I'll stay on as long as I can today. It's barely 9:13 in the morning on Pacific Standard Time, so we're probably looking at about maybe like 6-7 hours before these hearings get through. I see there's 147 in here. If you guys could go ahead and help us out, you know, get us up to the 20,000 mark, and possibly get us to the FYP, would highly appreciate it. Engagement is always a plus. Also, I have other videos too. If you go under my profile, if you guys could go ahead and check them out. And drop some comments, you know, help me out, you know, help me get into the algorithm, you know, draw some more people in, you know, the more, the merrier. The engagement, you know, always makes it a lot better. And these are serious topics right here. Sometimes, we might joke or throw a joke in there too. Like where that guy was talking about that he had erectile dysfunction. He can't even get it up and he's trying to do those type of things. Come on, man. Like cut it out, knock it off. What court are we watching? This is Nathan, this is in a court. This is going to be a board of parole hearing right now. So we're just waiting for the board to come back in. As soon as they come back in, we'll go ahead and continue. Abby in LA, hey, good morning. And hey, man, I've been watching some of those fires. Hopefully you're okay and you're not breathing in that horrible air How is everybody doing? If you guys wouldn't mind tapping on the screen where you guys are tuning in from, if you guys are in the United States, city, state, they're back. They're back. All right, hold up. Let me go ahead and zip it, put it in my pocket, and let's see how they. Do you think they're gonna let him out?
Recording in progress.
All right, sir. Can you still see, hear, and understand me? Okay, sir. I can't understand you. I can't hear you.
Can you
Yes,
hear me
ma'am.
now?
I can still hear you.
Okay. All right. We are back on record with Daniel Freeman, DOC number 318363. Sir, after much discussing with my colleagues, based off of seriousness, violence involved, prior misdemeanors, history of drugs and alcohol involvement, we are doing a serve out of your time today.
Hell yeah.
Good luck, sir.
Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
We wish you well, sir.
Thank you.
Recording stopped.
Desiree?
Yes.
We're going to take a 20.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right, you heard them. They're going to take a 20-minute break. We'll just go ahead and hang out, and we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Is this California, honey? No, this is not California. No, it is not. California does not offer live board of parole hearings. What's a serve-out sentence? So I'm assuming this is the first time that I watched this state. I'm assuming that what that means is that he's going to have to serve out the rest of his sentence. So he was originally sentenced to 7 years. In this particular state, I'm not sure how they calculate the times. I'm not sure if they give good credit or whatever. His original sentence was 7 years. So if they don't give good credit, then I guess he's looking at 7 years. He hasn't even been in prison that long. If I recall, maybe he's been in prison like 3-4 years. Crazy B, thank you for the follow. Michelle, thank you for the follow. 7 years, WTF. Yeah, let me look it up right now. I'll go ahead and tell you what state are we in. Right now, I'm keeping that state, a mystery right now, just because I was having some issues last week. And let me see. I'll tell you right now when he originally got picked up. So he was picked up in. He went to prison July 7th. 2021. So we're in 2025 right now. So about 4.5 years at this point. His expected his end of sentence